Okay. All right. That was great. And I got about a good half hour to 45 minutes that I can talk.
Yeah, I got a little bit of time and I got to go too. But I wanted to say that the last week when the show came out, I normally get the alert on right from YouTube that the show has been loaded up. And then I send that show out to a whole bunch of my friends. I just text it over to them.
Sure.
And last week I got the after show first.
Yes.
And I sent that out to everybody. And I got great feedback from a couple of people that loved the show. And they were just like, this might be, my mom actually said, I think this was your best show. And it was the after show. And I called her up and I was like, well, what did you like about it? And she couldn't really put her finger on it, but she liked how we were talking and we were agreeing on the different current events that are happening and everything. And I don't know, but then I heard from my friend Kim, and she said, whatever we were saying, she said she was still laughing about it after the show was over.
Was that the one? Oh my God. It was the funniest thing you ever said when you're telling the story about Larry introducing you and Scott as his sons. And they'd be like, where? What sons?
Yeah.
Here we is.
You should have seen the
Lisa and I are still saying that to each other. Here I is. Oh, that was the funniest moment ever in a year and a half.
Well, it was really funny. But it was fun to be a part of that whole thing. We all got a kick out of it. It was just, life.
Keep that coming. Oh, that was so funny. What else did I want to tell you? Something slipped my mind. I wanted to tell you. So the reason that you got the after show first is I'm always trying to figure out how to do this stuff more efficiently. Well, when I'm preparing the links, like say the email with all the links in it and stuff, well, I need that link to the after show. So that's why I'm going to put it up first, believe it or not, on YouTube, so I can get the link and paste it in there.
Oh, gotcha. Oh,
so then I bring in the other one, and that's why.
Oh, so, that totally makes sense.
Now, what I could do, just running this by you as I just think of it, I could postpone it. Like I can still do that. I could put it up first, but I can schedule it to come out a couple hours later.
I kind of like that, actually.
Okay,
yeah,
I'll do that.
Yeah.
I'll do that. It's easy.
But still, it was interesting getting that feedback. I thought
Lisa has been saying consistently she's our biggest fan. She really is, and I take that with a lot of pride because she's so on top of everything. And while she's been saying consistently she likes the after show better than the regular show because it's just us saying whatever about, like I like our main show because of how it's ordered. I really do. I think it's a good thing. I don't think we should stop doing that.
I agree.
I do like the after show where it's picking up the loose pieces.
I totally agree with that too. So let's do that because there was something I wanted to get back to that you were talking about the podcast between your friends. I'm really excited about that, by the way.
I'm excited about getting you to host it.
I mean, I was just thinking about those guys. I was getting so giddy. Tears were coming out of my eyes over it. Too. Yeah. And I love that. But I was thinking, I had a question from one of the people that was interviewing me about it. How do you do a podcast? And one of the questions was, well, how do you get it on the air? What's the process of how do you record it? What do you do? And I said, well, I got to tell you, I'm really blessed in this area because I'm doing 2 podcasts and I don't have to do that for either one of them. Right. Barry does it and Rex does it. And it's sort of like magic. I get a link and it's like, oh, there it is. But I know that they're actually doing something back there. So what do you do? How do you do this?
Well, it's time consuming. I would say that I could give you some Cliff's notes on it, but Google it. Now,
I think our fans might want to know because people want to know, what do you do? This is part of the thing of starting a podcast. Yeah.
Yeah. With ours, understand it's both video and audio. So they're 2 different things. You got a YouTube video. That's the primary thing that I put out. And then after I render that, I do branding on the videos too. I think that if you see a YouTube video with this typical Zoom side by side, no branding on it, I think that looks really boring and unprofessional, and you probably don't want to watch it. So I put this branding on it. Sometimes I put overlays, as you know, of certain photos or whatever to enhance. I love the idea of sharing the screen and showing photos and stuff because it's not work for me in post. And that's a big thing. For the video point of view, if you only do the audio, and technically when you're saying podcast, that is truly
audio, right?
Yes. It's a lot easier. I use anchor.fm, and because Anchor throws it out automatically to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all those other channels that we're on.
Oh, so
I just put it
load it onto one place, and then it populates into all these, and it's called Anchor.
Yeah, anchor.fm. And so you got to sign up for it and jump through all the hoops and that kind of stuff. But after you do that, it's not so bad. Again, back to the point that you made on the regular podcast, your audio quality and the chemistry of whatever you're doing from there means everything, so that you're not wasting your time.
And when we're recording the show, what is it? Is it directly into YouTube, or is it onto your Zoom? This Zoom. Oh, that's right. Zoom records it.
Yes.
And then you can somehow take that and load that into Anchor.
It converts after I hang up. It goes through a converting process that takes usually about a half hour. I go and make something to eat, and then it's on my hard drive. Okay. And then from there, I use iMovie. And that is where I adjust our audio, optimize our audio, and I put the overlay on and any other graphics. Then I output it for YouTube. And just Google that. What you need to output it for YouTube quality. After that, I output it for audio. That's a lot faster. And then I do the after show in the same way now. And apparently I'm going to do this new podcast because I'm a glutton for punishment. But I'm going to streamline that. If no editing, if it's such that it needs edited, I'm not publishing it. It's going to be that easy.
I really like that. I remember that cable access show I was doing back in the
college.
Yeah, well, no, I was doing it actually in my 30s with my cousin Joe out in Sandusky. We had that local cable access show. We had like 3 shows, and the cool thing about these shows was it was a one take. Like we didn't have to go back, and it just made it so much easier to get that stuff out there and get it on the air and everything. And it was also like, hey, you mess it up, you clean it up, because this is going out there.
Right. No, that's a big deal.
It made it really fun. And also like the spontaneity part of it too, that we always have here. Yeah. Just that gets captured, and that's really the magic.
It truly is. I wanted to share another story with you, a positive story about LA that didn't make it on the regular podcast.
Well, no, of course.
Right. This one just came out this morning too. LA becomes, in quotes, no kill city as animal shelters achieve a 90% save rate.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
That's officially what it takes. You got to hit 90% of non-kill. And what they do say as well is do understand that no kill, taking into account that approximately 10% of pets that enter shelters have medical or behavioral circumstances, bite people, that lead to them having to be euthanized. So it is virtually, truly a no-kill city for dog shelters. And I think that's really something.
I've never lived anywhere where people love dogs more. And
it's great.
Everybody's got a dog. I mean, everybody. If you don't have a dog, you're kind of weird, Like,
I love that.
It is, and it's kind of cool. And I love my little neighborhood that I live in, and everybody's got dogs, so we all know the dogs. And it's just the dogs all know each other too, which is also really cool. So. It's a happy dog place here. That's for sure.
I know. When I've had my dogs too, they always had their best friends.
That's so cool.
There were certain dogs like Bowser, way back in Bowser's day, that would always come by. Bowser would know when they were going to come by. They always had to say hi. And I remember this one in particular, little tiny foo-foo dog. And Bowser's like this big wolf, you know?
Yeah.
But they loved each other.
Isn't that cool? I love when a big dog and a little dog really like each other and they hang out together. We have that happening in our neighborhood. There's this huge German Shepherd and this little tiny little yellow dog. I don't even know what it is, but they love each other. They like are constantly laying down in the driveway together and everything. And it kind of reminds me of that cartoon, you know, from Bugs Bunny. This is my friend Spike. It's like a little dog.
I remember that. No, it should bring it up. Hey, that reminds me. Remember, I told you I put in the back of your head that we're going to do impressions one of these days.
That's right. I talked to Scott about that. Apparently, you guys had a conversation about it too.
Well, because you said, as I told you that last week, you go, oh my God, Scott would do impressions of both of us doing the show. I thought that would be the funniest thing ever.
I could totally see it.
I call him, and there's no way he's like, man, it'd be like being put on the spot and I'm supposed to perform for you. Like, you know, he goes, I wouldn't be able to do it. He goes,
I totally get that. I get the whole, like, okay, be funny. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But like, if he would be in the moment.
Yeah.
That would be
that's got to be a tough thing to just turn on comedy and then, you know, like these guys that have that talent, that's a serious talent right there. They can just turn it on.
Oh, and it's not like that either. I follow a lot of comedians podcasts and I love listening to them talk about it because there's nothing that they like more than having fellow comedians on. Because you know what I like about them the most is one occupation, loosely saying, where almost all of them, at least the best ones, they truly root for each other and they truly try to help each other. It's the ones that don't really make it very big that are the more stab you in the back kind.
You know, we talked about Seinfeld in the last episode, but you see that on that show that they have like this sort of community and they all know each other and some of them are actually competing against each other too. And that's kind of fun also. But you know, you think about like how, you know, just being funny can be so difficult, especially today. These comedians, I saw this report last night about, and it was Adam Carolla. He was the one, you remember him?
I know him.
He was the one talking and he was saying, you know, look at what's happened with comedians. They made a joke 10 years ago and now they're outcasts because it's not politically correct to say these things. So they've really shut down a lot of comedy. And when you look at and the point was they were going to late night television and how unfunny late night television is now. But I got to tell you, I don't watch a lot of late night television for that very reason. But
I don't at all.
Anne-Marie's been on this Conan kick. And I got to tell you, that guy is hilariously funny. That's great. He doesn't get into the political scene at all. He's just like that old fashioned, he's just naturally really funny and he's got a quick wit and just amazing how quick his
I'm always amazed at people like that. He's been doing it a long time now.
Surprisingly long. I saw one, she showed me a clip of him with Leslie Nielsen. And I was like, well, what? Yeah, because, you know, he's passed away now. I said, when was that? And she said, let's see, this is 1993. And I'm like, oh my God. He's been doing, it almost still kind of feels like he's the new guy. But he's only been doing it for 30 years.
I mean, that's amazing. You know how many millions of dollars that guy has? I mean, seriously. So he just loves what he's doing.
He does.
And I always come back to that. Like I don't know. I would like to say, I kind of want to say, I would be out on a yacht. I mean, at this point I got, $60 million. I don't need nothing.
Right.
But no, I couldn't do nothing. I know I'm biting my tongue because I couldn't do nothing. It would not be good for me.
No, I don't think it would be good. I don't think it's good. I mean, when I had my time off, that 8-month period of time,
it was great for a while.
It was, I found that I couldn't just do nothing though. I mean, I was constantly doing stuff. I mean, from the time I woke up until the time I went to sleep, I had things that I was just interested in, you know?
Yes.
And then I got to a point where I was like, how in the world did I ever have time to work? I mean, this is too much to do, you know? But I do think that it's important, like people thinking about retiring and everything. I think a lot of people shorten their life by not having a plan of something to do after that.
That's right.
Your brain just kind of turns your body off. And
that's exactly right. A lot of people just start dying as soon as they retire. Now I'm going to be honest. I've seen other people like my mother and my neighbor seem like they got a jolt because they worked really hard, and both of them in government jobs that were very taxing on them.
Right.
They seem to rejuvenate for 10 years.
That's good to hear. I love that.
So, I mean, there's that.
Yeah, I guess it could work either way.
It depends. If you got a job that's sucking your life out of you, there a lot of people do, and they can't wait to get to retirement. But if you got a job that's actually fulfilling to you, then it's a whole nother. It's the opposite effect.
Well, you know, and I look at my father, and you know, he had announced his retirement, and here he was a VP at Ameritech. And within 3 weeks, he died. He hadn't retired yet, but he died. And it was like I have to think about that. Psychologically, his job was so, remember, he handled those negotiations between the labor union and the management. It's very stressful. Yes. And then he stopped doing that. And it seemed like that the timing was related to me.
Yeah.
It's too bad that happens. I've heard of a lot of people that retire and they go into a terrible depression. Once they've retired.
Purpose is gone.
Yeah. And you know, the wife is kind of like, what happened? You know what? I thought this was going to be fun. But you know, anytime you change your lifestyle, there's a thing you got to deal with there.
I think about that too with some of the NFL greats that don't want to let go. Even a Tom Brady, like, you know, my God, he still doesn't want to let go of that. But I like it when I see some of them transition into the announcer kind of thing.
I love that, actually.
I do too, because the ones that Chris Collinsworth.
I was going to say Chris Collinsworth.
He's good, man.
He's one of the best.
He is.
And he came out of a football uniform and into that broadcaster booth. And
of course, we hated him at first because he was from the Bengals.
What, Chris Collinsworth?
And Terry Bradshaw, same thing, but he was a Steelers quarterback.
Right.
He's such he's a likable guy.
These guys are just being themselves. And that's you know, Chris Collinsworth. I remember being on a drive because he had that AM radio talk show for a long time, and I remember hearing him speak, and I didn't know that it was him, and I'm like, this guy's really good. And then he says, and I'm Chris Collinsworth, and I'm like, what? I was liking Chris Collinsworth.
I know, definitely. Oh, you know who else is really good? A good speaker, announcer, and all that? Troy Aikman.
He is. He really
I didn't know if you would know that because he's kind of caught on to, he does the play-by-plays and he's up in the bigger ones, the bigger games, not the crappy games.
I've watched games where, you know, they go to halftime and then I see that it's actually Troy Aikman. I'm like, I can't believe that was Troy Aikman that whole time.
Yeah. Same here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And he's smart. He's quick. I mean, gosh, you know, who better than having a quarterback, you know, that really understands what everyone's doing on the field to be a commentator like that. And they're quick. They're just quick. You know, they'd see everything.
Yeah. And there's such a talent to be able to talk very smoothly as well. That's why I always say, go to Toastmasters, it really helps you in that regard.
You have that, Barry.
Oh, dude, I was going to say, you got that. You're really good. But that's, again, it's something like podcasting. Toastmasters got me started to this point. I don't go anymore because I do this. And it's a really good stepping stone, really good to hone your professional skills. Which back to that is, I was really thinking, well, let's let it fly with this podcast. Let's let it be really different and then cross over. I think that's a disservice to those guys, not to mention our brand, but
yes,
you know, it's really something to have to be able to better articulate yourself, you know?
Yeah, it really is. And I think that you have talked about this a lot, and I really believe this, that, the mainstream media has done a disservice to the whole country, and people want to know what the truth is, and they're looking, and this format is the answer.
Saves. Yeah,
it really does. And you'll find the ones that you like, and there are ones that you aren't going to match up with your personality, and you just pick and choose. But we're on this wave. This is the new wave, and we're on it. We're on the edge of that wave.
It's important. I always bring them up every week, that Crystal and Sagar. Boy, I love their podcast. I catch it in segments that are really digestible. It's very professionally put together, but the writing, yeah, they're right. I mean, they write their own stuff, and it is solid, man. They bring a game.
It seems like Crystal is really the leader there. She's actually been more of of course, we've known her for quite a while and everything, but they are very professional, and they're the way that they're able to describe a situation and really get into it and then have banter about it. They're really good at that. I was wondering, is that really her name, Crystal Ball?
I would think so. I mean, a lot of parents just do that. Okay, if my last name's Johnson, I'm going to call my kid Johnny
Johnson, or Jimmy.
Yeah. So yeah, a lot of them do. It probably is. It probably is, but I don't know. I didn't do any research on that. But I was going to say, but their format is interestingly very, very professional, and their credo is they'll let anything fly. I've never heard the F-bomb on there, but they'll say anything else. They just talked about, Crystal did a really good segment that I can't totally remember, but it was about a small company that all of a sudden went public and got worth like $60 million by saying that they analyze your poop. And then just like doing an ancestry analysis, and the nutritional analysis, and what they were doing was all kinds of trickery, bypassing the health insurance, using health insurance companies to send it out to doctors to have it independently analyzed on their dime, bringing it back. Well, she was using all of these analogies. She would say the S word, and then she would say, and then that went down the crapper, and then all of these different euphemisms and things. She did some seriously good writing there. It was like a comic skit.
Wow.
I just was very impressed with the writing, but it was also a wow kind of story. Like, oh my God, I can't believe that they got away with that for as long as they did. I mean, it got up to be a $60 million valuation before they got caught.
Oh my gosh. And that just goes to show that there's a lot of this kind of stuff that's out there going on that we may never know about. But it's definitely happening out there for sure.
Hey, I wanted to tell you, I have it up here. I didn't necessarily I was thinking about going through it on the regular podcast, but I was going through all of the COVID. I go on to Google, type in COVID on the sidebar, you get statistics, you get the chart, you can pull it down for any state and any country and all of that. It's interesting. It's really interesting because, again, I'm at the point now where I think enough people are vaccinated and it's available to enough people that I don't care if you don't want to get the vaccination. Open it up. Okay.
Amen. Yes.
Open it up. And
I'm with you.
Also wanted to ask you what's going on with Newsom in your state there. But so I started going through the different countries. Dude, it's all over the place in different stages in different countries. Right. The Norwegian countries are back up worse than they ever were. I didn't know that. Greece, horrifying where it's at. And then other countries are seriously down like ours is and stuff. So I don't know. I don't know what to make of all that. It's,
I subscribe to the New York Times, and of course, it's not my favorite, but I like to see what they're talking about over there. And and I hardly ever agree with them, but they put this article out last week, and it was talking about a study that was done about the reporting of COVID here in the United States compared to all the other countries in the world. And it turns out that here in the United States, we have eliminated almost 100% any good news about COVID.
Yes.
And even when good news happens, it's spun in a way that's like,
forget about the variant
vaccine, but yeah, there's a variant coming out, and keep 2 masks on and all this stuff. And basically what they were saying is, here in the United States, we have exponentially poured bad news out of our media regarding COVID compared to any other country, even in the face of good news, even in the face of what science is saying. We still are just pumping this terrible news out there. And it's very interesting what's happening. I mean, as we know, it's causing fear and fear of other people. I mean, people are going out there. Have you been vaccinated? No, you haven't been vaccinated. And they're like, doing that. I mean, this is a bad situation where, we've put this into our psyche. And I think there's some long-term psychological effects that we're going to be dealing with now.
I think so.
But I'm in agreement. I think we talked about this last week, where Rand Paul was talking about the mask. That was really good. I'm glad that he was doing it. We saw another clip this week where Ted Cruz was speaking, and a reporter yells out, "Would you please wear your mask?" And he says, "Look, I'm not going to wear my mask when I'm up here speaking. We've all been vaccinated up here." And the guy yells back, "We'd feel a lot more comfortable if you'd put your mask on." And he said, "Well, I'm sure you might feel a little bit more comfortable, but listen, you're free to stay or leave." And he didn't put his mask on. And I thought, this is how we change things back to normal again.
And it's the same thing as dealing with cancel culture. Somebody's just got to just flip them the bird and say, go take a time out. If you can't deal with this, remove yourself from the situation until you get your act together and you can deal with it like an adult.
That's how the ship has to turn, I think. Is, look, we now know a lot more about this. We've got the vaccinations that are out there. We know who the vulnerable people are. If you feel uncomfortable, then you need to quarantine yourself.
Exactly.
But the world's not going to quarantine itself for you.
Yeah.
This is there's a personal responsibility thing here that's happening.
Yeah.
I mean, there's an overall personal responsibility thing that's causing a lot of problems out there, not just here in COVID.
Well said.
Every situation we talked about today, there's a lack of personal responsibility element in there.
Yeah, well, the left is totally anti-personal responsibility, as we know, so it's supposed to be a police state. The thing is, I think even I've argued for, and I still back myself up on this months ago or a year ago, where I said, but because you're saying, I don't think the president should overreach here, there, or declare any different things. And I said, we were talking about it back and forth. I said, I don't know if it's a state of emergency. And I think at that point, it was a state of emergency for sure. I still believe it and back it up, but I don't now. I mean, I think now we're at a point, it is not a state of emergency. I absolutely positively agree with what you just said. Now it's your choice. You want to quarantine? You don't feel safe? Fine. But we need to let other people run their businesses. We need to let kids get back to school and re-socialize themselves and get their heads on straight.
Barry, you brought up the 5. Yeah, I think it was yesterday. You sent me a text on that. So I watched it myself, and they were talking about this during the show. And somebody brought up the point that getting kids back to school, something that the president talked very little about during the press conference.
He didn't talk about COVID at all.
He didn't mention COVID. There was no questions about COVID, and I think that's what he was prepping for the whole time, by the way. He was expecting to get a lot of COVID questions. He didn't get one.
Dude, I think he knew exactly what questions.
I heard that. This is what I heard. I have no idea because I didn't talk to Joe Biden, but I did hear the press secretary for Joe Biden lamenting that they had prepped for COVID and not one COVID question. So that was interesting. Okay. I mean, think about it. here we've just surpassed a 1-year anniversary of the lockdown. This is the first time he's got a press conference, not one question about COVID. That's really concerning, I think. Or maybe this is the good news: is hey, maybe we've moved on from COVID. Thank God. There's another thing that's overshadowing COVID. That's more important. We're going to focus on that now.
That's a good way to look at it. That may be right.
I hope that's what's happening here. So we're going to find out.
Yeah.
I wanted to bring up one other thing, Barry. I'm sorry. I saw yesterday where they've developed these new masks, and I don't know if you've seen.
That was on the 5.
Oh, that was it.
That was on the 5. They need to put it's a nose mask,
yeah.
So you can. That is the dumbest thing. But if I got one, I'd put whiskers on it.
I would too, because everyone wearing them looked like a mouse. Like
they looked ridiculous.
And just go around.
What good is that doing? Stay home. If you
gotta wear that.
Yeah, that's not doing anyone any.
Well, that's not worth it. And plus, I liked what Juan Williams said was, isn't the food eating experience really dependent on being able to smell? Like, if you cover up your nose, you're not going to be able to taste your darn food.
Might as well take a pill or something.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Like on Charlie Willy Wonka.
I don't know that.
Yeah, Willy Wonka.
I never watched it.
It's weird, but there's he had developed a pill where you'd put it in your mouth and it tastes like pot roast. Oh, now I taste the mashed potatoes and all this. And it's a whole meal in a pill.
Weird.
It was weird. I don't want that. I want my pot roast and mashed potatoes for real.
I know, you got me thinking about that now. Oh man, once a year I make pot roast and the potatoes and all.
Dude, remember? Oh, we would make those amazing pot roast. At least we did it one time.
We did once that I remember for sure.
It was so good.
We made some good dishes, man.
We really did.
When we gave it an effort, we killed
with our Big Lots cooking utensils.
Yeah, and a lot of onion.
Broke. Well, mine melted.
Yeah. Oh man.
Well, one of my favorite memories there was when we first Barry and we moved into this apartment, and then I remember, we
tell the name of it.
Quick thing. It was Silver Meadows was the name of the area that we moved into. And I remember being all proud after I signed the lease. I went back to work and they were like, "Oh, did you get a place?" I said, "Yeah." "Where is it?" "Silver Meadows." "Silver Ghettos?" Like, ghettos? What are you talking about?
It's the projects, man.
God, yeah. We were our lives were in jeopardy every time we came home. But my thing was when that first night we didn't have any furniture, so we got like maybe a bowl of cereal or something, and we're both like squatting on the floor with our bowl in our hand.
I kind of remember that.
And then we were in the ground floor, so our windows were kind of towards the top of the wall, and there were bushes covering up those windows. And these little dirty kids, like, they were really dirty, and they were going like this at our window. We're eating cereal down there, and
I remember that.
"Get out of here!" Trying to chase them away.
Yeah. Oh, it was a big apartment, though. Yeah, I mean,
it was huge.
Great price.
It was a great price. We just had to put up with some.
Then we'd go out and play frisbee, and those same little dirty kids would be running around
chasing us around. I knew I would never get the frisbee back if they ever got it.
Right.
It would run.
Oh God. It was so funny. Not too long ago, you shared a photo of you at graduation. Oh, it flips me out because I can remember you looking like that, but it flipped me out.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, that's you back then. Because even now, when I think about our memories back then, I see you pretty much.
Yeah. Same thing. I remember. It's funny how that works, right?
Isn't it?
Yeah. And, in how you think of yourself too, I see myself. I think we talked about this before. About how you see yourself. How old are you in your dreams and everything? Are you? Which guy are you?
Right.
I wanted to tell you something. I don't know if I told you this before, that this has been happening in my dreams lately. Is that I have told you this before. I'm in the same place all the time. I'm in the city It's familiar to me. All the roads are familiar to me. The back trails, the different bicycle trails. It's not a real place. It's just
it's
in
a
my
conglomeration
dreams of all the places I know. I guess
yeah.
I always seem to know how to get from one place to another, but then I never actually make it to the place I'm going to.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's one that we got to delve a little more down. The dreams. I've had it in my notes forever to talk about dreams, but I want to do some more research on it. Like Freud was big on dreams and some symbolism. But if I just even simply take some time to watch a few good YouTube videos on it, I'll have a lot of interesting things to interject in there to share that are factually related that I don't have right now.
Yeah.
But I have wild dreams, dude. I have like super vivid dreams where lots of times about aircraft. Just about a week ago, I had this dream and I was on a building terrace or something. So I was pretty high up with some people. I don't remember who, but I'm like watching this helicopter. It's not too far away, but it was flying. It's a little bit of a cocked angle. And I'm like, all right, is this one of those dreams? Because I have a lot of dreams about aircraft. I'll explain. And so I'm looking at it and like, it's really detailed, is my mind creating that? But it's getting closer. And then all of a sudden I see the silhouette of a giant jumbo jet above the clouds. So I see like a shadow, this giant,
wow,
and it's hardly moving at all. And I'm like, yep, it's one of those dreams. And so it's a freaky thing where periodically I go through what's it called when you're dreaming, but you're dreaming. And so lucid dreaming. Correct. Mm-hmm. And, so a lot of times, almost always, it'll continue to get more and more congested up there. Then there's the UFO. And it's super always. And it's super. And I don't know if it's really a government thing or if it's a true alien. I never seen an alien in my dreams, but I see a lot of UFOs. And they'll I don't want them to see me or detect me. They'll come down. Sometimes they crash.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Aircraft, even regular planes have crashed by me, but they're so detailed. I'm always wondering, is this one of those damn dreams again? It seems pretty damn real.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
There are these resources you can go to now that interpret your dream.
Really? We gotta talk more about
I'd be really interested on what all of that means. I'm actually
have
afraid for you, man. Yeah,
praying for you.
Oh my gosh, really? Good.
I'm always a sucker for trying to find a good documentary on UFO stuff, alien abductions and all that, because 90% of them are really bad, really fake. They're clear.
Yeah.
But when you get a good one, it's riveting. Oh, I forgot. I wanted to mention this on the regular podcast. Did you hear that? I did not bookmark the article, but it went away. It was on the Daily Mail that they update all the time. So I couldn't find it again, but, Trump's
director of national intelligence.
Yeah, said in June they are disclosing all kinds of stuff, and it's going to be
about
like
UFOs.
Wah, wah, wah. They're going to send out just a little bit. It'll be like the TikTok videos, which are enough that you go, holy crap, but it won't keep the fervor for very long. Only us.
I wonder.
That's what I think.
That guy was talking a pretty big game
he knows
about what he's seeing.
Dude, it's clear. They got thousands. The evidence is like, but how much are they going to actually divulge?
And he was talking about the fact, John Radcliffe, that's his name.
Yeah.
He was talking about the fact that this isn't just happening in America. This is happening all over the world.
Sure.
It's very well documented. He did bring up the fact that sometimes we wonder if our enemies have new technology, but I don't know how you can have technology like that. Yeah. Then they did show a couple of clips of some of the stuff we've seen before.
Tic
right?
Tac.
Yeah.
Exactly. He says those are super common, that they got all kinds of stuff.
What I've heard. That's what I've said. And there's an explanation for this. And I don't know. I think the fact is they are called UFOs. So unknown is
correct
to you. We don't know.
And that's the thing and they use a different term normally now on the inside.
They do, right?
I forget. ATIP, I think it is.
Something like that.
Aviation something. But UFOs is fine. It still means the same thing. Unidentified flying object. It doesn't mean alien.
Right.
But it could. Or dude, they could simply be totally technology, total technology, 100, no organicness to them at all, from another dimension, the future, or whatever that's shifting. Because I don't know. I know I sound crazy there, but whatever it is,
I don't think that's crazy.
Yeah, whatever it is going to be that crazy for us to relate to.
I think it's in the mainstream. In fact, there was a movie that came on yesterday. This is the weirdest thing: is sometimes the channel changes on my cable. It just really? Changes, yeah. And it yesterday
keeps going back to the same show. This guy talking to you. Let me out. I'm serious.
There's another movie right there. We could make that one.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah. So we were watching some movie, and I really wanted to see. We had it on pause, and I really wanted to see what was next. And then the channel changed to something else, and I was all mad for about 5 seconds, and then I realized that this other movie was actually more interesting. And I recorded it, and I don't remember the name. I'll have to get it to you. But what happened was, right in the beginning, there was this woman who she looked like a human being, but she was a machine. But it turned out that she was alive, and now her consciousness and it's her face and everything, but it's her consciousness inside of this machine. And it's a human body and everything, but obviously she could probably live forever as this young woman right here. And it's the same concept you've been talking about, of melding machines and people together. So it's not it's in the mainstream. People are talking about that. So it's not crazy. And there's a legitimate thing to think about with all of the technology that we have today. Is something like that possible? I don't know. And then when I see people like Zuckerberg, is it Zuckerberger or Zuckerberg?
Zuckerberg.
He's such an odd character to me that many times I think maybe that's an android of him, or he doesn't. The weird thing is that they had those three guys, the guy from Google, Sundar, and Zuckerberg, and
that weirdo from Twitter,
from Twitter, and Jack Dorsey. Jack Dorsey and the guy from Facebook have this thing in their eyes where they don't look like they kind of look like those Android people that have AI now inside of them.
We're so close.
I mean, and I'm not saying that I believe that that's what it is, but it does seem odd. There's something odd about them.
Yes. And I wouldn't be blown away surprised if I found out that we got machines, AI, that beat our world champion chess masters and, other different things. I mean, we're there. But quantum computing is getting super close to the big breakthroughs. We have these quantum computers. I've watched YouTube videos about it and stuff, lots of them actually, that perform tasks trillions of times faster than a regular computer, because it can calculate so many different things simultaneously. And it's a big reason why people are tech companies are very concerned about getting this off passwords, because no matter how long and how encrypted you think that password is, if you got a quantum computer,
you can figure it out like that.
It's something that would take a regular computer months to calculate will take this thing seconds. That's mind-blowing.
It is mind-blowing. And also when you think about the potential of that for good, it's mind-blowing. And then think about the potential for evil. I mean, it's just as mind-blowing. But it's something Rex and I have been talking about on Cyber Talk, is all these movies that have come out. One of them is Soylent Green. I don't know if you've seen that one before, but
never heard of it.
They're Soylent Green. Okay, so let me just give you a thumbnail, because what you see in the movies a lot of times it becomes a reality. It's almost like they're putting it in the mainstream, and it almost feels like they're doing it on purpose so that it'll actually become true. Look at all the things that Gene Roddenberry put into Star Trek, and then a lot of those technologies we now have. It's interesting about how humans work.
thought of something. I'm really sorry. I got that Zoom at noon, and this thing has to render. I got to get off of here.
Okay. All right. Well, to be continued then.
Yes.
And I got to
Please try to pick up on what you said later. I am really sorry.
No. That's okay. We're leaving the audience hanging.
Yeah. Wanting for more. It's our credo.
Yeah.
All right,
exactly.
buddy. Hey, have a great weekend. Love you, buddy.
You too, Barry. Great show. Bye.
See ya.